Selamat sore. Welcome back to another Bali COVID-19 update for December 12th, 2021, and my name is Bruce. So since I started filming this yesterday, the weather has been great, rainy, and now it's been sunny all morning, but it is going to rain soon. Some interesting things in this video. Wow, really interesting things in this video. And what about the numbers? The numbers are fantastic. Fantastic. 7-day average for new positive cases, 7. Well, way down below 10. The 7-day average for deaths, 0.3. And what about in Indonesia? New positive cases yesterday, 228, and deaths, 6. Wow, our numbers are great. Total number of individuals tested in all of Indonesia yesterday, 205,447 with a 0.11 positive rate, and the 7-day average is 0.09. And no update on Bali testing. What about the vaccination numbers? First dose, 3,462,438, 77.5% of the population. And remember, this is the real numbers. This is not the target population. This is the population. So we're getting close to 80%. First dose. Second dose, 3,066,134, 68.6% of the population. And so if you're going to use the 70% as herd immunity, we're almost there. Yesterday, 3,793 doses were administered in Bali. Wow. And listen to this. What about in Bali? New cases yesterday? 2. Yeah, 2. And deaths, 0. Okay. Yeah, I'm pumped. These numbers are incredible. Active cases in Bali, 153. And recoveries, no data. Okay, the numbers, they can't get much better. Really, we're almost down to 0 yesterday. And our average, 7. So yeah, we can go down some more with the average, but because you can't tell just based on one day. But well, yesterday was great. Yesterday was great. Well, I said last time we're going to talk about Omicron, and Omicron, well, let's talk about Omicron. What about Omicron? Okay, I said I would say something about Omicron today, and South Africa says no signal of increased Omicron severity yet. So in South Africa, they're getting ready to begin rolling out the vaccine boosters as daily infections are approaching an all-time high. Hospital data shows that COVID-19 admissions are now rising sharply in more than half of the country's 9 provinces, but deaths are not rising as dramatically, and indicators such as median length of hospital stay are reassuring. Although scientists say more time is needed to come to definitive conclusions, the health minister said the signs of severity were positive. Preliminary data suggests that while there's an increasing rate of hospitalization, it looks like it is purely because of the numbers rather than the result of any severity of the variant itself, he said. This is Omicron. Currently, South Africa has about 38% of adults fully vaccinated, more than most African countries, but well short of the government's target. A small study from a South African research institute this week suggested that Omicron could partially evade protection from 2 doses of Pfizer, but the company and its partner BioNTech said that 3-shot course of their vaccine could neutralize Omicron. And Glenda Gray, the president of South African Medical Research Council, said there's far more unvaccinated people among South Africa's hospital admissions, and the evidence was that Pfizer is still offering protection. She said it may be slightly reduced, but we're seeing effectiveness being maintained for hospital admissions, and that is very encouraging. Okay, so some signs coming out on this, but still needs to be more research done and more testing out in the field of the vaccines and how that's working. And more on Omicron. New facts on Omicron. WHO is not as scary as you think. So the reason that it's not as scary as you think, according to the WHO, is that there are now no records of deaths related to the new variant. So they said Omicron is not as scary as originally thought. The WHO Emergency Director Michael Ryan confirmed that Omicron's symptoms are mild, but indications that this is more transmissible than the Delta variant. And according to Mr. Ryan, the variant has now been detected in 57 countries, so it is spreading quickly. He said, the new variant is clearly very contagious, maybe more contagious than Delta, which is the dominant variant globally. However, it's almost certain that it is not more severe than Delta. There are even indications that it is milder. And biotech said that 3 doses of the vaccine are able to neutralize Omicron. With 2 doses, the protection is reduced. And Pfizer is ready to launch a new vaccine specifically for Omicron in March 2022 if needed. Okay, so cautious optimism on this. More transmissible, but less severe. Okay, and we'll see what comes up in the next week or two. In the meantime, we still have no recorded cases in Indonesia. Back inside again, so it's raining. It was nice this morning. I took a walk, but it is raining now, so here we are inside. And vaccines and vaccinations. Government to commence COVID-19 vaccination for children aged 6 to 11 on December 24th, Christmas Eve. Kids are on vacation, so how's that going to work? The Deputy Health Minister, Dante Saxono Harbuono, said that starting on the 24th, they're going to prioritize vaccines for children. They've allocated around 58 to 60 million doses. And the instruction from Home Affairs Minister Tito Carnavian said local governments can start vaccinating children aged 6 to 11 if they have reached 70% of their vaccination target of at least the first dose and 60% of the first dose vaccination for elderly, in accordance with applicable regulations. So they can start on the 24th, but they've got to have 70% of the vaccination target started. BPOM has given emergency use authorization, as I reported on before, for China's Sinovac vaccine for children above 5 years old. And other than Sinovac, BPOM is considering a trial of Sinopharm vaccine for children under the age of 12. And we're still waiting for Pfizer vaccine to register in the agency as it's received emergency authorization use from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration on October 29th. So it'll be interesting to see who starts with the kids and where they start. And I'm not sure where we are in terms of our numbers hitting the target in bullying. And more on vaccines. Vaccine booster rollout to kick off January 1st, Deputy Health Minister. So there's going to be boosters. And according to the Deputy Health Minister, the booster shots will be available in stages and target vulnerable groups first. We'll prioritize elderly and those with comorbidities. The government will provide free booster shots for recipients of the PBI category of the BPJS Kesehatan. And the program will be financed using the state budget. And the general public, that's me, I have the health insurance, but I don't qualify under the PBI category. We will have to pay for booster shots. How much? Yet to be announced. You remember previous video, in a previous video, the number was 300,000, but apparently that's under consideration, and so we'll just have to wait and see. And what kind of vaccine will be available for the booster? Yet to be determined. The Health Ministry is still waiting for the results of studies by the Technical Advisory Group on immunization in regards to the brand to be used. What about PPKM? There are several segments about this, and people are upset here, people in the tourist industry. What about the restrictions? Well, this just came out. There is now officially an SE, and it's down below. You can see it. It's in English with a link to the original document in Indonesian. And it's pretty much what I've already talked about, so I'm just going to skim over this. This is PPKM adjustment for Christmas, New Year 2022. Minister of Home Affairs Tito Carnavian made adjustments to this. He said the instructions still use the term PPKM Level 3 implementation, but this isn't really a term being used anymore. It's necessary to adjust the instructions, and the instructions are being altered with a different name. The change of the name is confusing for me, but it says another reason for not using the term PPKM Level 3 is because the COVID-19 pandemic situation is very dynamic, including in various regions. Therefore, the use of this term is a response to the dynamic situation. Okay, what difference does it make what we call it? It's what the regulations actually are. And so what are the regulations? All right, let's call it PPKM level 3, let's call it community restrictions, let's call it Bill. The application of stricter health protocols with the 5M approach, wearing masks, washing hands with soap, hand sanitizer, maintaining distance, reducing mobility, avoiding crowds, and 3T testing, tracing, and treatment. The acceleration of vaccines is covered in this. The vaccination of children, tightening and monitoring of the situation, the implementation of the health protocols, the limiting of community activities from December 24th until January 2nd. So even though says it's not level 3, there is still restrictions. And some of the limitations are on arts, culture, and sports that have a potential to cause COVID-19 transmissions, activities that are not Christmas and New Year's celebrations and cause crowds and carried out according to health protocols can be attended by no more than 50 people. All squares will be closed December 31st until January 1st. Okay, so they want to make sure nobody gets out and gathers in huge places, which I guess means that the harbor will be closed here because, well, that's a place that people gather every year for lots of cool things, including the fireworks. Travel out of the region. So this is one of the big changes. People who travel outside the regions have to optimize the use of the PL app and meet the requirements for long-distance travel. And what is that? Well, travelers are required to be vaccinated twice. So you have to be vaccinated twice to do long-distance travel and carry out a rapid antigen test 1 times 24 hours or 24 hours. And people who have not been vaccinated or who cannot be vaccinated for medical reasons are prohibited from traveling long distances. So you want to fly to Bali and you're not fully vaxxed? Ain't going to happen. This is going to make local people unhappy. And, well, as I said, there's 2 segments below. Read them. It'll be interesting to see what happens as we get through the month. And the role of the regional head, matters that have not been regulated in the minister's instruction related to the prevention and control of COVID-19 during Christmas 2021 and New Year's 2022 can be regulated by regional heads, in other terms, by the governor. So anything that's not covered here, he can make a decision on. So we are not going to have any fun this Christmas and New Year period. Now, how is this going to affect people? Take a look at the survey that's coming up next. And so there's been a lot of worries about what's going to happen with Bali because of the level 3 restrictions, which have been rescinded, but still no official SEs out yet. And so what were people planning on doing in the first place? Well, survey, 53% respondents plan spending Christmas, New Year's at home. So a survey by IndoGuidebook.com showed that most people plan on spending their holidays at home, and the other 47% are planning on a vacation, mostly out of town. Maybe they'll come to Bali. Let's hope so. Why are people staying home? Because of the pandemic, because of restrictions, because of difficulty of traveling? No, not according to this. According to this, 46% said their main reason for not traveling during this holiday season is money. They just don't have it. And the survey also said that 66% of the respondents planning to travel agree with the government's policy of mandating COVID-19 test, antigen or PCR, for the sake of preventing transmission. Cool. Okay, that is a good thing. And 76% of the respondents said that they think that face masks are the #1 thing that they have to bring with them during the pandemic. Also cool. Followed by hand sanitizers, personal cutlery, disinfectant, and wet tissues. Okay, all things I guess that you should take with you if you're planning on traveling during the pandemic. So, will people come? Will that 47%, will they come to Bali? Let's hope so. We'll find out in the coming days and the weeks. There's only another 13 days until Christmas. BMKG sees climate change triggers hike in tropical cyclones. Oh no, in Indonesia. Not one more natural disaster for us to put up with. The Meteorology, Climatology, and Geophysics Agency, also known as BMKG because everything has initials in Indonesia, has has said that Indonesia's only glacier, and I used to be able to see it from my house when I lived in Papua, Puncak Jaya Wijaya, is going to melt away within a few years due to global warming and climate change. According to the head of the Applied Climate Service Center, the temperature on the surface of Puncak Jaya is already higher than its melting point of around 5 degrees Celsius, so surely it will disappear, he said. What a shame. And he continued on about tropical cyclones, that climate change has increased the presence of tropical cyclones over the years in the archipelago, such as the Cempaka tropical storm of 2017, the Seroja tropical storm of 2021. He said these two phenomena are rare, yet bring direct impacts on the country's territory. And I didn't even know we had tropical cyclones. We get water spouts here occasionally, which can cause some damage when they hit land. He said that climate change, which mainly contributes to the surface sea temperatures, is the source of the growth of tropical cyclones. And it also causes the sea level to increase, and I know over the 32 years our sea level has increased, and poses a threat to small islands and coastal areas and my house, because if it keeps rising, by the time my granddaughter is an adult, we'll have the sea in our living room. Well, not in this house, but in the back house there. Pak Ardesena said that climate change requires all of us to do mitigation efforts to make an adaptation. The BMKG, he said, urges vital sectors to adapt, including agriculture, health, water resources, forestry, tourism, and renewable energy sectors. So I'm going to be talking about some changes in how we go about our daily living and how that can contribute to making Bali a cleaner, more environmentally friendly island. I've said before, people need to get out and see more of Indonesia. It's more than just Bali. Bali's been my home base for 32 years, but I've lived in other islands, 2 other islands, Papua and Sumbawa, and in those 2 islands, or on those 2 islands, I've lived in 2 different towns in those places. And I spent time working as a kind of a tour guide, a guest lecturer, actually an anthropologist a guest anthropologist, I wouldn't say an anthropologist in residence, a guest anthropologist, going to different places. And so this story here is one that sounds cool. And this is about a place that I've wanted to visit since I first came to Indonesia in 1989. And I have never gotten there. Even when I lived in Sumbawa, and I could have gotten there more easily, I just didn't go. I don't know why, but anyway. East Flores, Lewokluok, and I hope I'm saying that name right, named most popular traditional village in 2021. So this traditional village is in East Flores Regency of East Nusa Tenggara, or NTT as people call it here. And it took the top place as the most popular traditional village for the 2021 Anugerah Pesona Indonesia Tourism Award. Okay, I don't even know what that tourism award is, but it's taken first place, so cool. According to the head of East Flores Tourism and Culture Agency, Petrus Pamang Liku, he hopes that the presence of the award will bring people to the village and make it a tourist attraction for both domestic and international tourists. What does the village have to offer? Traditional houses, traditional dances, traditional rituals that unite the indigenous people of the area. Additionally, there are many natural features of the area. Springs, customary forest, I don't know what a customary forest is, artificial ponds, beaches with beautiful sunsets, and the village also has the famous ikat. So there's an ikat weaving studio there with local motifs passed down from generation to generation, as well as special local foods. Pak Petrus said that he hopes that this achievement will bring motivation for the East Flores government to prepare for future development. And he said, we have to think about how to look after and organize this traditional village in the future, preserve cultural assets, yes, and others in order to attract tourists. So, if you're traveling around, this might be a cool place to go. And I'm hoping that after the pandemic, or at least when it's easier to travel around, I would like to go to Flores. I'm thinking of places to take my granddaughter, and well, Flores would be one of them. If you've been to Flores, let me know where you've been and what kind of places you think are special there. And also, how you got there. Because transport's a special thing for me. I'm an old guy now. I don't like doing the old ways that I used to do things, taking one BMO to the next BMO, motorcycle, OJEX. I'm looking for a little pampering these days. And some Bali news. This is interesting. Unscrupulous traders allegedly extorting tourists from Kuta. Traditional villages threatened. So some unscrupulous traders, it says a few in this article, are suspected of extorting money on Kuta Beach. And the reason is when offering massage services, a number of these individuals asked for unreasonable rewards. I'm assuming that means unreasonable prices. And this unpleasant issue has apparently surfaced on social media. And so, knowing this, the head of the Kuta Beach Task Force, Gianyar, admitted that he's taken follow-up steps, and all traders were gathered and were given a talk about proper behavior. According to him, this coercion by the traders is because there's a lack of tourists, and so people are desperate, and people who usually sell clothes are now offering other services such as massages. And I was watching a video by the Monkeys the other day. He was down in Kuta Beach, and the person kept pestering him about a massage. No, thank you, massage. And if you've been around now, you know that's a common thing these days. Last time I was in Ubud, I had people following me down the street trying to sell me things that I didn't want or need, and I felt really bad about not buying them because, well, people are desperate. So Paxerna said, we asked the merchants to return to the specificity of their respective services, no longer offer services beyond their specialty. In addition, we also asked the location of the service not to leave their respective zones. And the Bendesa Adat Kuta, Wayan Wasistas, confirmed that the information was true, and he said that he's ready to give strict sanctions to traders concerned by revoking their card if necessary. He said that if tourists are experiencing something unpleasant, they should immediately report it to the Coastal Task Force. And he said tourists should refuse directly if they don't want the services or they don't want to buy a product. They should just say no. However, on the other hand, he said that he hopes tourists can use the services and buy the products of the traders because this is a way to contribute to the economy, which has been devastated by the pandemic. And you may remember, I don't know how many videos ago it was now, that the governor was telling people to not send petitions into the president. Well, the next couple of segments, I think, deal directly with that. It doesn't say that this is about the groups that the governor was complaining about, but looking at this, it talks about 34 organizations, and well, that was the number that was in the original segment where I talked about what the governor was upset about. So according to the Bali Bangkit Forum, FPB, the central government has not responded to the open letter that they sent. I guess that would be the petition. This was sent directly to the president, and it contained at least 5 points that were expected to be addressed immediately. Well, this has been about a month now, and so, well, they haven't been addressed yet. The 5 points included ease of e-visa application, elimination of the quarantine, changes in flight regulations, expanding the range of countries allowed to enter Bali, and decreasing the insurance coverage. According to the chairman of the Bali Tourism Board, E.B. Agung Partha Adnyana, until now we have not received a response since 3 weeks ago issuing an open letter. There's been small coordination. Maybe the government is thinking because we are still constantly fighting about the letters we bring to Jakarta. I assume that's a reference to the governor. And of course, no international tourists coming in right direct to Bali, and so for this reason, the Bali Bangkit Forum, which consists of 34 Bali tourism stakeholders, plans to go to the streets if there is no response from the central government until a specified time limit. And according to the chairman of BTB, the hotel rate is only 10.97%. And he said that's from government data. He said, we will plan an action later. The time response is in December. And he added, we've told our friends that if there's no response, it's possible that in January we will have an action such as demonstration. We are still looking for a good day. And according to this article, Bali's GDP is 52% dependent on tourism. And I've talked before about all the wild numbers. Some people say 90% no way, 80% Some people say 70%. 70% is one that comes up a lot. 52%. Okay. I know that the last time I did the statistics here in Bulang, it was under 50%. And the chairman of the Alliance of Bali Marginal Tourism Actors, EY and Puspanegara, said that this is a concrete step, getting ready to do some actions in order to help the economic condition of people in Bali. According to him, those most affected by the collapse of Bali's tourism are the marginal workers, which can currently reach hundreds of thousands, he said. Who are they? Yes, daily workers, contract workers, not only in hotels and restaurants, but also tourist destinations. And he added that if there are no tourists by the end of December, people are going to take to the streets. However, he said that they will package the action to take to the streets in such a way that it does not become a bad incident. But it is a change for the government to take a policy so that Balinese people can breathe. He continued, we realize that this is still PPKM. We are also obedient to it, and our vaccinations have been carried out. We can compare it to the Europa League last night. If the Europa League has 45,000 people in a stadium and there's no problem and it continues, maybe it can be compared with that. So he's saying, you've got all those people in a stadium, 45,000 people, why can't we have people come to Bali? And he said, we've been open for a long time, but there's not a single tourist who comes to Bali. Our patience is over and we are waiting until December. Look at our Australian co-respondents. They're eager to come to Bali, but in fact, there is no regulation that can make them enter Bali. And so there's general unhappiness. And here is an interesting video that I watched. This is Pak Oki, and I hope your name's right, Pak Oki, if you're watching this video. And he does regular updates. And so this is from the perspective of Balinese who's involved in tourism. And so I strongly suggest that you take a look at his videos and see what he's got to say about all this. And more on unhappiness in Bali. Many events canceled due to changes in rules. Tourism actors boil. So the changing regulations by the central government have made the people in the tourism industry in Bali unhappy. And one of them is related to restrictions on community activities in the upcoming Christmas and New Year holiday, the Nataru. And so the level 3 is gone, but there are restrictions. And so that was one of the things that Pak Oki is talking about in this video the other day. He's saying, well, it's gone by name, but the restrictions are still there. Well, there are restrictions on there in terms of keeping people from partying and fireworks. That doesn't mean that people aren't going to come, though. I think that remains to be seen. The head of the Bali Tourism Board, I just mentioned him in the previous segment, Pak Agung, said that a number of tourism actors in Bali are annoyed when asked about the prediction for the number of domestic tourists coming to Bali during Nataru. He says it's because of the changing rules that have made a number of them cancel their vacation schedules to Bali that they had planned to spend here. And Pak Agung said that up until this point, he's not been able to record the number of domestic tourists that have canceled trips to Bali during the Nataru season because they come in smaller groups, 15 to 20. And he noted that event organizers are canceling as well. So with the cancellation of level 3, PPKM, Pak Luhut relaxed the community activities from tourist attractions to shopping centers, but he forbade the New Year's celebrations and the fireworks and the parties. And so this is one of the things that the tourism actors would like to see reversed. They would like to see New Year's celebrations permitted. Pak Agung suggested having Nataru celebrations, but within parameters. So he explained that New Year's celebrations can be carried out in the open, along with implementation of health protocols, and so that will create a safe environment. He said every day there's an Odolan. Every day, I hope not. He said a ceremony thousands of people come to, and so far things are fine. The important thing is that it's in an open space. And so are there going to be changes to this? Are there going to be more relaxation of the restrictions? For example, allowing fireworks, okaying Christmas parties and New Year's parties. Is that going to happen? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. The government does reverse itself, and well, maybe they will. I was talking in an earlier segment about climate change and how we can help protect the environment here in Bali. Here's an interesting story. Students in Gianyar asked to bring tumblers to school Okay, and my granddaughter, Zoe, brings her tumbler. She's got one, and they asked this last year when they were getting ready, planning to open up, and that was one of the things, bring your own water bottle. So all students in Gianyar Regency from early childhood, kindergarten, elementary, vocational to high school are encouraged to bring a tumbler to school. This is in accordance with an appeal letter issued by the regent of Gianyar. And he said people should bring refillable drinking water bottles or tumblers. And so the main point here is to ask principals to convey to students and parents to use refillable water bottles in every school activity. And to support the program, schools were asked to make efforts to provide drinking water refilling places. However, that has to be adjusted depending on the amount of money that each individual school and the students have. And the regent's decree is still in progress, and so it is now being socialized. And of course, this is the way that things are usually done here. There's an announcement about something, and then everybody has to wait for the official decree. I'm not sure why they just don't do the two at one time, but that does not seem to be the way things are done here. And the head of Trash Hero Indonesia, Wayan Aksara, said he's very happy about this program. According to him, this is hope and strength to create public awareness to be wiser in using plastic. Yes, I completely agree. And so some good news on the school front, making kids aware of the environment and getting us over all of these plastic bottles that we have everywhere. Okay, time for a wrap-up. What can you say about the numbers? The numbers are fantastic. We don't have Omicron, and hopefully Omicron will not be severe, even though it looks like it's really transmissible. Let's hope that things stay the same with Omicron. There was a little update on travel, just to make sure that if you're traveling, this is recent travel news. So conditions for arrival from abroad have been tightened with a negative PCR test result taken 2 days before departure, and then the 10-day quarantine, okay? And domestic, long-distance travel, you have to be fully vaccinated, as I've already said, and tested negative in an antigen test taken 1 day before departure. Although there's a question about that, because one person on social media said that at Gilimanuk, they were asking not for 1 day before departure, but 1 day before arrival. So you need to make sure that you've got your test done if you're traveling. Okay, so what's the big news here? Well, the big news is people in the tourist industry here are upset. They're really upset. They're upset because the rules change regularly, and to be honest, the rules change regularly in a lot of places around the world. They go from one thing to the next depending on the new variant, what the numbers are, infection rates. There are a lot of different factors. But we're getting close to 2 years and people haven't worked. And as one of the people said in this, well, the governor says be patient. Maybe he's got a lot of money in his bank account, we don't. Yeah, it's hard times, and if you take a look at any of the videos that are online now, the honest ones, not the ones pushing for tons of likes because they're showing cool little places to have lunch or breakfast or dinner, but the ones that walking around, you see, there's not that many people in certain places, but the good news is that there are domestic tourists here. Jackie Pomeroy's Facebook site today, she said there was one place they couldn't get into a restaurant because it was packed. Another place was one table left for 2 people. Waitress said, yeah, we have a lot of domestic tourists. So that's good news. The question, of course, is, are domestic tourists going to continue to come? Are they going to come in enough numbers to make a significant dent in the economy? How are people in the tourist organizations going to respond if they don't hear anything from the president? And, well, is the governor going to come out and say something about these threatened demonstrations? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But at this point, it looks like some people in the tourist industry are getting close to the breaking point. They want business. They've got a chance to get domestic. Okay, we opened up for international. Nobody's here. They're not happy about that. People are looking forward to a big Christmas, New Year, but with some of the changes, no Christmas celebrations, no New Year celebrations, no fireworks, a restriction on the amount of people. They feel that there's going to be a lot of cancellations, a lot of people that aren't going to come. You saw the survey in the earlier segment. A lot of people just planning on staying home because they don't have any money. So how are things going to pan out here over the next 2 weeks? Hard to tell, but we're going to keep an eye on it. And if anything does happen, well, I'll be talking about it here. So I'm still feeling pumped. The numbers here, they're too good not to feel pumped today. They're too good not to feel pumped. And the signs that there are domestic tourists coming here, that domestic tourists are in Ubud, that they're in Canggu, they're in Seminyak. It's slow, but there are people here, and hopefully more will be coming over the next couple of weeks. Okay, that's it. If you're new here, updates are done every Wednesday and Sunday. And I'm uploading a video maybe later today. This is one of the Singaraja snippets walking tours that I do, and this is a little one going down Jalan Diponegoro, Jalan Pramuka, Jalan Nurai. It was a long walk. It was a 2-hour walk. I edited it down to 45 minutes, and I edited this part down to like 12 minutes because I'm going to do a couple of them. And a lot of changes in Singaraja, but this is a different view of Bali. This is a view of a place where that's not touristy and that is working. And so you might want to take a look at it. If you do, it will be, well, I haven't uploaded it yet, so pointing up here is not going to do any good. Okay, thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Stay safe. If you're on your way here, happy travels. If you just arrived, welcome. I hope that you are enjoying it and found your 10-day quarantine worthwhile. And if you're looking forward to coming sometime in next year, well, keep on hoping. You never know what's going to happen. And I'll see you on Wednesday.